one of the tense moments during the debate, I'm going to turn to our panel here, was during the discussion about the transcripts. And we've been talking about this throughout the night. The transcripts of Hillary Clinton's paid speeches to Goldman Sachs. Why not release them is a question that Bernie Sanders himself had posed to Hillary Clinton. And let's go ahead and play, if we have that. It's SOT number 4. At one point, though, one of the moderators there, Dana Bash, actually posed that question, and some of the biggest cheers from the audience were heard. Let's go ahead and play that.
Why not just release the transcripts and put this whole issue to bed? You know, first of all, there isn't an issue. When I was in public service, serving as the senator from New York, I did stand up to the banks. I did make it clear that their behavior would not be excused.
Secretary Clinton, the question was about the transcripts of the speeches to Goldman Sachs.
Yes.
Why not release them?
I have said, look, there are certain expectations when you run for president. This is a new one, and I've said if everybody agrees to do it, because there are speeches for money on the other side, I know that.
Secretary Clinton, you just heard her. Everybody else does it, she'll do it. We'll do it. I am going to release all of the transcripts of the speeches that I gave on Wall Street behind closed doors. Not for $225,000, not for $2,000, not for 2 cents. There were no speeches.
All right, Nick Thompson, who does that round go to?
I don't know. You watch that, and it's amazing to watch it again because it's basically, Hillary, you release the transcripts. Oh, first let me try to change the subject. No, Hillary, will you release your transcripts? I'll do it when he releases his transcripts. Oh, wait, he's going to release his transcripts. Hillary, will you release the transcripts? I'll do it when he releases his tax returns. Hillary, will you release your transcripts? I'll do it when he can do 50 jumping jacks, right? I mean, it's like... It's nuts. Just stop dropping a stone on your foot over and over and release the transcripts.
I mean, this is a continued vulnerability for her, Linda. We were talking about this before. The honest and trustworthy numbers, when you look at her poll numbers, continue to be a weak spot for her.
Yeah, and in that particular exchange, I think what she meant was the guys on the other side of the aisle releasing their transcript, not Bernie Sanders. But of course, we've seen this thing play out multiple times before, and she just played again into his talking points. This is not the first time when he said, I'll do it, 0. You know, I mean, we could almost recite them point for point exactly how the exchange is going to go, which goes back to Nick's point at the beginning, which is the debate is exactly what we thought it was going to be. It's just done at a higher speed and at a higher volume.
But, you know, Steve, like we were saying, this is a question that came up months ago. I mean, it's not
before
as though,
New Hampshire.
Right. So it's not as though she hasn't had time to think about how to respond to this particular question.
Right. But it's her digging in and refusing to do it and suggesting that she might be able to turn the tables and say, well, release your tax returns. Well, okay, so what if he does release his tax returns? Then where does she go? Again, what is in these transcripts that is worth hiding for months, years, that you're going to jeopardize you already have trouble with these polling numbers. Get it out there. I don't really understand
why. My guess is that what's in the transcripts is that she says things like, you know, Goldman Sachs, you are the engine of the economy, or something like that.
We know she says things like that.
And then there'll be some
she
terrible
said things
line
like that before publicly. So what is? I mean, what could possibly? Maybe it's worse. I don't know. But even then,
like, what is it like?
The issue with Wall Street and the banks, it's already a vulnerability for her, right? Is that really going to turn the tables to the point where she's going to lose?
From the Clinton administration.
I want to get Nancy's take on this because I want to talk about tax returns in a moment, and Nomi, I'll bring you in. But Nancy, I'm curious. This is not the first time, as we've been saying, this is not the first time this question has come up, and yet the answer from Hillary Clinton continues to kind of baffle some people.
So there are two schools of thought on this, and I'm sure that this is a debate that happens with some regularity at Clinton campaign headquarters, not 10 blocks from the spot where I'm standing right now. There's one school of thought that says, look, this has been dogging you for months. It's going to continue to dog you. You know, how much more do we need to let it hurt the candidate before we just go ahead, get it out there, take our lumps if she said one or two things that are kind of embarrassing, and move on, put it behind us, stop this death by a thousand cuts. There's another school of thought that says, but where does it end? She's already put out decades of her tax returns. She's released tens of thousands of emails that have been read. If she now releases her transcripts, which is something that most candidates are never asked to do. What will the other side want next? What will they demand next? We need to stand up on principle. Now, the case that she made tonight was actually sort of a better comeback to Sanders on this issue than she has had in the past. She pointed out that she released her tax returns, which is pretty standard for a candidate to do, 8 months ago, and that most candidates, aside from Donald Trump, on the Republican side have done the same. So where are the Sanders tax returns? He made some news in the debate tonight. He said he will release 1 year's worth of tax returns, 2014, tomorrow. And he said that, he's been really busy on the campaign trail, that his wife does the taxes, and so they haven't really had time to get it together. And there was some skepticism about that as well. Wolf Blitzer said, well, what's so hard? All you do is take it out of the file cabinet. And Hillary Clinton chimed in and said, yeah, you just need to copy it. And so he didn't have a satisfactory answer on that either, aside from saying that when people do see his tax returns, they're going to be pretty bored by them because there isn't much in them.
Yeah, in fact, Nancy, we have that soundbite. It's soundbite number 5, control room, and I want to go ahead and play it for our viewers, and then let's go ahead and talk about it right afterwards. Take a listen.
Of course, we will release our taxes. Jane does our taxes. We've been a little bit busy lately. You'll excuse us, but we will.
Senator,
we will get them out.
Senator.
Well, there are a lot of copy.
Senator, when are you going to
around.
when are you? You've been asked for weeks and weeks to release your tax
Well, I think
returns.
we got one that's coming out tomorrow.
Which one?
Last year's.
2014.
Yes.
What about 2013? All the other ones.
Look, I don't want to get anybody very excited. They are very boring tax returns. No big money from speeches, no major investments. Unfortunately, I remain one of the poorer members of the United States Senate, and that's what that will show.
So, Senator, just to be clear, tomorrow you will release the 2014 tax returns from you and your family.
Yes.
And what about the earlier ones? What's
Yes.
the problem? What's taking so long? Because you just have to go to the filing cabinet, make a copy, and release them.
What we have always done in my family is Jane does them, and she's been out on the campaign trail. We will get them out. We'll get them out very shortly. It's not a big deal.
All right. So, Nomi, let me turn to you. What do you make of that answer?
Listen, I mean, I don't think any of us know what the reason is, or we can speculate. I don't personally think that there's anything shady about his tax returns. I think he's been very honest about his disclosures. This is not somebody who pals around with Wall Street. Maybe that's the right answer. He does have a very small operation. That's something to keep in mind. The campaign is, and I've been with them, for the one person on the campaign, there are probably 15 or 20 of them on the Hillary campaign. And so I do think that they're multitasking quite a bit. With that being said, it's not equivalent to the transcripts. When Hillary Clinton is running to reform Wall Street as a Democrat, who cares what Republicans do? They're not trying to pledge to reform Wall Street. As a Democrat, it shows virtue and honesty that you can prove this. And it's bad optics. I think it just reiterates not just the untrustworthiness, but whether or not her values align with the Democratic Party values. Maybe they align with the establishment's values, but the real principles of the Democratic Party